Hey guys, this is Mrs. Ritter, and I just wanted to go over with you your assignment for AMI Day 26 or Monday, April 27th. So, as a reminder, your assignment this week as well is a combined English and social studies assignment. So, you'll complete one assignment and turn it into English and social studies, and you'll get credit for both classes. So, this week we're continuing the pandemic journal. So the first thing we're going to do is we have a new reading article. So we're going to go see section 7 of article 2. I've got that bookmarked here. It looks like it's on page 13 of your packet. So I have it highlighted in blue, and we're going to read that, and then we'll go over the questions. So this is from an article called The 1918 Flu Pandemic That Killed Millions. The influenza or flu pandemic of 1918 to 1919, the deadliest in modern history, infected an estimated 500 million people worldwide, about 1/3 of the planet's population at the time, and killed an estimated 20 million to 50 million victims. More than 25% of the U.S. population became sick, and some 675,000 Americans died. The 1918 flu was first observed in Europe, the United States, and parts of Asia, before swiftly spreading around the world. Surprisingly, many victims were young, otherwise healthy adults. At the time, there were no effective drugs or vaccines to treat this killer flu strain or prevent its spread. In the U.S., citizens were ordered to wear masks, and schools, theaters, and other public places were closed. Researchers later discovered what made the 1918 pandemic so deadly. The influenza virus invaded victims' lungs and caused pneumonia. So if you look over here to the right, there's a question here for you to think about, but we'll also see that question again in your Social Studies Google Classroom. So we're going to skip it for now, but we will come back to it. If you scroll back up to the day's assignment, you will see a couple questions. And we're going to go over these here, but as a reminder, they will be in a Google form in your Social Studies Google Classroom, and that's where you will answer them. Or if you're working on paper, you'll answer them on paper and share it with your social studies and English teacher. So here's those questions that we're going to think about. What did you see today that gave you hope? Anxiety, fear, and that could be something you saw in person, in the news, or on social media. How has coronavirus affected your personality? So your answer might say something like, throughout this experience, I've noticed that blank, and this has made me think that blank. The second question is, after reading the chunk of the article, consider the following question. What's something surprising or shocking you learned from this section? Explain. So you might say something like, the part where blank happened surprised me because blank. And then the very last thing you're going to do is you're going to begin constructing a Venn diagram to analyze similarities and differences between the Spanish flu that we just read about and the COVID-19 outbreaks. Use evidence from the article in your journal, so any notes you might have been taking, to support your work. And as a reminder, a Venn diagram looks like this over here to the right. It's two overlapping circles, and you're going to answer questions about the Venn diagram in your Social Studies Google Classroom. Now that we've read the article and gone over those questions, you're going to visit your Social Studies Google Classroom, where you'll see a Google form very similar to the ones you did last week. And there's a reminder at the top, but you will answer each of those questions in here, and you will have to send a copy of your responses to your English teacher. So completing this form automatically sends it to you at your school email, which you should see right here, and it will also send it to your social studies teacher. You only need to go to that email and forward it to your English teacher. If you're still having trouble with that or haven't quite figured it out, there's a separate video in Google Classroom that explains how to share your responses with your English teacher. But if you know what you're doing, go ahead and do that after you've completed this form. So let's go over this really quickly. You'll start by filling in your first and last name. There's a little reminder about this pandemic journal that we went over on day 21. If you want to review that, you may. And these are the questions that we just went over, but you're actually going to answer them here. So I'm not going to type actual answers. I'm just going to type letters because I don't want to take any of your ideas. We want to hear your own thoughts. So the first one says, what did you see today that gave you hope or anxiety or fear? And that could be in person, in the news, or on social media. So you might say, throughout this experience, I've noticed that blank. and that has made me think that blank. You'll type your answer there. The next question says, how has coronavirus affected your personality? The coronavirus has affected my personality by blank. And this could be a positive personality change, or it could be something that's not quite so positive, but it's true and it's real. Whatever you feel comfortable putting there, just mention a little bit about how it's affected your personality. Here's the chunk of the article that we read back in your AMI packet. You can revisit it there or here, whichever you'd like. After reading the chunk of the article, consider the following question. What's something surprising or shocking you learned from this section? Explain. So your answer might say, the part where blank happened surprised me because blank. I know when I was reading it, there were definitely a couple things that surprised me. And your last question is, what's a new similarity or difference that you see in the Spanish flu and the COVID-19 outbreak? Use evidence from the article chunk to support your answer. So this is the question about the Venn diagram where we're talking about similarities or differences. So you might say the Spanish flu and COVID-19 are different or are similar because they blank. And note at least one similarity or difference that you see between them here. Make sure you use evidence from the article, so refer to specific examples or quotes in the article to support your answer. After you've done that, you will press submit and you'll get a little notification that tells you good job. Send this form to your English teacher. You'll get an email with your responses. Forward that email to your English teacher to submit them. So after submitting that, your social studies teacher can see it. Your school email should have a copy of it. All you need to do is forward the copy from your school email to your English teacher. Again, if you forgot how to do that, see our Google Classrooms for a video on how to do it. Otherwise, if you know how to do it, go ahead and do that. Happy Monday, guys. Have a great start to your week, and we'll see you soon.